Okay, hello everyone. Yeah, this is another video as regards how to design a study. So this time around, we'll be looking at how to design a longitudinal study. Okay, so let's dive straight into it. Now, the question: Dr. Collins, a developmental psychologist, is interested in investigating how academic motivation changes over time. All right, okay, over time. It's something that happens from time to time. Now, okay, among high school students. All right. So we are looking at how the motivation changes over time. So which means you're not going to measure them once. You're going to measure them and compare the results from time to time. Now, it decides to conduct a longitudinal study to track students' level of motivation over several years. Oh, so you have to do it over years. Design a study to test this hypothesis, right? Now, first thing is that you have to outline your paragraphs. Okay, you can do that somewhere. You have a space where you can outline whatever it is you want to discuss. Okay, now outline your paragraph. Paragraph one, introduction of variable. Now, time. Okay, now the duration over which student motivation is tracked. Okay, yearly assessment over 4 years. Now, explaining what you mean by that. All right. Now, dependent variable here is the academic motivation, which is what you're measuring. All right. This can be measured through self-report, questionnaire. It's okay. Basically, questionnaire. It's a form of self-report, right? Assessing intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. You can decide to choose just intrinsic alone. All right. Or you can decide to choose extrinsic alone. That depends on you. Now, intrinsic motivation are basically uh, motivations such as self-esteem, okay, self interest, your passion, okay, your internal motivation and zeal. Okay, let me put it that way. Things that has to do with your sense of significance. Okay, so it can vary across. Okay, if you feel praised, if you feel appreciated, cherished, all those things are talking about intrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation can be in form of salaries, bonuses, okay, commissions and other things like that. All right, they are basically coming from outside world. Okay, you can check my video on motivators at work under organizational psychology to understand that better. Okay, now operational definition. Motivation will be quantified using a standardized Likert scale questionnaire. All right, e.g., 1 not motivated and 5 highly motivated. All right, so you're going to use a questionnaire like this. All right, you don't have to describe the questionnaire. I mean, like you don't have to list question one, question two, question three. No, you just give an overview. All right, that the questionnaire you're going to use is going to measure this, and this is the kind of skill you're going to have. Very important. Okay, now paragraph two, you can see we've also tried as much as possible to make this a quantitative data. So that is very good. Now, method and procedure: type of study, a longitudinal study conducted over 4 years. You can decide to use 6 years, that depends on you. All right. Now, sample: a cohort of 100 high school students selected using stratified sampling. Okay, you can choose any sampling technique you want. All right, but depending on the situation, stratified sampling to ensure diverse representation, e.g., gender, this and this and this and that. All right, now if you're carrying out maybe a study for your master's degree, you might want to consider things like this. All right, but for your level, talking about AS and AS level, AS and A level, all right, you can just maneuver your ways around maybe the opportunity sampling. I think that is the easiest, right? And maybe you can also use volunteer sampling. It depends, but I think opportunity sampling, you just go to a school, the student you find, okay, studying a particular course, all right, then you have to explain that if that is what you want to use. The student you find that are offering a particular course, okay, then you choose those students. All right, you choose 100 students from there. So that depends on you. I think that is time saving. Okay, data collection interval. Participant completes this questionnaire annually. You can see because they mentioned here in the questionnaire. I mean, in the question, controlling for attrition. Okay, incentives, e.g., certificate, participation rewards will be provided to minimize participant dropout. Okay, so in order to reduce the level of dropout, because when it comes to a longer term thing, it can actually be discouraging. Okay, now also looking at high school students, do not forget they will mostly finish their course of study. Okay, no, uh, students actually mostly they will finish their course of study between a period of 3, 4, 5 years, depending. So you don't want to make it too long. If it's like 6 years, then the student might not really be available anymore. Okay, so just find a way to ensure that the student do not drop out. They continue the study. All right. So including something like this will show how much in-depth knowledge you have about the concept of longitudinal study. Okay, controlling that students do not leave. Now, ethical consideration, informed consent, confidentiality, you can discuss that, rights to withdrawal. Okay, then paragraph 4, you talk about method of analysis. Okay, quantitative data analysis, motivation score will be analyzed using the repeated measure. Okay, ANOVA to identify trend and change over time. Okay, you can also analyze that using by calculating the score. Okay, calculating the mean score from the questionnaire. All right, so it depends on how you want to go about it. If you're familiar with all those statistical analytical terminologies, then you can use them to boost uh, the, let me say, it can boost your mark. All right, the person marking your script can feel like, oh, I think this person has a sound knowledge on the idea, so it can in one way or the other boost your grade. So but then if you don't know too much about them, you can just do well with explaining in detail by saying, okay, you calculate the mean of all the scores, okay, and then you you represent them in a table, and then eventually you use a bar chart. Okay, things like that. Now, qualitative analysis, open-ended question response from student on their motivation will be thematized to explore underlying factors. All right, so you try to focus on that to identify what are the factors that could be responsible for it. Okay, now that is actually optional. You don't have to do that, but if you want to do it too, it's fine. Okay, so there are so many things that you do not have to do. It just depends on your level of creativity, how creative you are. Ensuring validity, reliability check will be conducted throughout the test, retest reliability on a subject of participant. Okay, um, so you're using that to check the level of reliability. Now to the response. Okay, Dr. Collins' study aimed to investigate this. You have to join words together now. Okay, join words together, all the things you've outlined, then you have to join them together. Okay, the IV, you explain it, the DV, you explain it, the operational definition of each. Okay, measured by this, assessing this and that. That's what you mean by motivation. All right, so okay, now the motivation is the rate on the Likert scale. Okay, 1 from non-motivated to 5 highly motivated. Now, method and procedure. To be a longitudinal study, tracking this, you explain the research method, you explain the procedure. Data will be collected annually at the start of each year or end of each year, depending on you. Okay, academic year. Now, your student will complete this motivation questionnaire. All right, so to address participant attrition, you also do this. Okay, you give them emails, you give them messages to ensure that, okay, they are participating in the study. All right, ethical consideration, you give them informed consent, student and their parents, depending on their age as well. Okay, would the student assign coded identifiers instead of personal information? So you don't want to really mention their name. Maybe you can use acronym. That depends on you. Okay, any other ethical consideration that you feel is relevant, you can add it to it, right? Additionally, the study will avoid pressuring students to participate, ensuring that the involvement is entirely voluntary, which is something you can develop. Okay, it's left to you. Now, method of analysis, the collected data will undergo quantitative analysis using the repeated measure ANOVA, or you can use another method. You can explain with the method I said earlier. All right, so you are a statistical test suitable for identifying pattern in motivation change over time. All right, now additionally, quantitative response from open-ended question will be analyzed using thematic analysis. That is, you're trying to analyze what are the factors that causes motivation and motivation fluctuation in student. Could it be academic pressure based on their response, teacher support? Okay, what are the factors that actually, so it's left for you. All right, so you're just trying to identify, okay, could there be any underlying effect for the motivation change? All right, now To ensure reliability, a subset of participants will complete the questionnaire twice within a short interval. All right, and test reliability will be calculated to confirm the consistency of the response. So you can pick few students to actually do the test again. All right, so to ensure that there is reliability, so all those things, all those plans basically depends on you. All right, so it depends on your level of creativity. All right, so that is it. I hope you've learned something from this video. Okay, stay tuned for other videos. All right, bye.